it's weird.
Yeah.
Like you don't feel like you're buying Penguin. You feel like you're buying Danny DeVito in his pajamas.
Hey, welcome back to That Toy Dude. I'm Jamie,
And I'm John.
and this is part two of DC Toys. And what we've got right now is we've gone through everything up from the 1930s, talking about Superman, all the way up to the Kenner Superpowers line. And now we're going into a different era, which is close to the Kenner line. But Toy Biz was the winner of the license for the Batman '89 movie. And so they came out with three figures. They had Batman here, and then they had Joker. I don't have his hat with him right now, but he had a hat just like Bob the Goon, and his leg just came up. And it's hard to put. Now he's being good right now, because normally these figures have gotten worn out and his leg never stays down.
Yeah.
But apparently today he's doing good. Well, there you go. But I also have three different Batman figures up here, and I think three of them may have a different face, or at least two of them have a different face. And so, of course, they made different faces for, I don't know. Do you know?
I have a working theory. I know with a lot of things in that time, they were outsourcing different parts to different plants and manufacturers, like we've talked about with other toys, where the legs or the torsos may have
Yeah.
been made here and the head's been made there. So I could see slight variations if that were the case.
Right. And so this one I think is the Michael Keaton one. And so they made this one look more in Michael's likeness here. The fun thing about this figure was, and for whatever reason why they did it this way, was that the belt had an action feature to it. I think, yeah, this one still works. So you pull it out, it's kind of like a grappling hook or a batarang, but it's his belt. And so you let go and he pulls up, and so you could make it into one of these little batarangs or grappling hooks to play with as he's climbing up the building wall. And so Joker also had this water squirt feature, had a little squirter with a tube that goes on the back here, and you could fill it up with water or whatever liquid that you wanted to, and shoot the other figure like he did in the movie, '89 movie. And Bob, even though I don't think we ever saw him kick on the show, on the movie, he kicks. They have little switches, and that was the one different thing about Toy Biz, was that it wasn't like a squeezing of the arms or the legs or whatnot, but it was a switch on the back.
Funny thing, I'd have to rewatch it to know if I'm thinking about it correctly, but I always thought that figure kicked for the way that he was like marching behind Joker whenever they were making that entrance.
Yeah.
I thought that's what the kick
Oh, okay.
was that high kick march the whole time.
Could be.
But he's also a goon, so
Yeah. Bob the Goon. They didn't release any of the other goons, or they didn't release any of the other actors or characters, from the movie. It was just three main figures, which was fine, I guess. Bob was just random, But we were glad that we got Bob too. I mean, Yeah, what a figure. But then out came the line of the other superpowers here,
Superheroes.
or superheroes, not superpowers. Superhero, DC superheroes with Toy Biz. And so Robin, instead of squeezing the legs, you had this button where he could karate chop. And most of these capes I've replaced by the Cape Master that you can find online. If you have a cape that is deteriorating or broke or torn or whatever condition it is, he sells Kenner Toy Biz type capes. They're not exactly like the original, but they pass very well, for if you wanted to spruce your toy up. This penguin is almost a copycat. I mean, all of these are pretty much copycats of the Kenner version.
Mm-hmm.
But penguin, without the coattails, I mean, they minus the coattails, but they even have like the indent as if the separate piece for the coattail is supposed to go on there, except for they don't have the holes here. And so you have a different type of umbrella. This umbrella does not shoot out a sword to attack Batman or Robin, but it pops off, as their gimmick was the little lever, basically on all their figures. And they went along. These are just the toys that I've collected. The Riddler, Mr. Freeze with his helmet, and the helmet usually gets missing from most toy collectors now, and that can be a little pricey, can it?
Yep.
And then Lex Luthor. We had a Lex Luthor that was in the green suit. I forget what it's called. But then you have him in his business suit, and he's supposed to be, I don't know what that, I forgot, type of pose.
So I'm not sure if they pulled a story from a comic or what, but I do notice that he's wearing a green ring. So
Yeah.
I wonder if that's him putting up as maybe normal, or maybe you're supposed to twist it down more to where
True.
he puts it straight out. And that might be him like trying to punch or put a kryptonite ring up for Superman.
Yeah. That probably is exactly what it is, yeah.
Or he's the next Green Lantern. I didn't read much about Lex.
And then we've got Two-Face here, and this is a wind-up toy, so he just flips his coin. What gimmicks, for these toys.
That is a huge dime.
Yeah, it is. And of course, they marked an X. It's not like a scratch mark, It's just an X, and then your clear side, and both have both heads. And poor old Riddler, he does nothing. You can bend his knees and all that, but that's about it for that. And I love these toys. When the '89 Batman movie came out, I was more used to of the Adam West series, the 60 series with the blue and the gray. And so I got to tell you, I had to adjust a little bit. And quickly, once I watched the movie, I fell in love with it. Didn't understand why there wasn't the bam and the pow and all that,
No.
even as a kid, I was expecting that to happen, but they gave my hopes up, for that, but I got over that. But yeah, had to have the toys. And also one of the things that they did was this Toy Biz did this Batmobile. And so it's quite dusty right now, but they had the bat symbol stickers that I removed later on because they never had the bat symbols on the car. It was on the 60s car. I left the rear one on for whatever reason. I remember in the promotional material that they kind of had, I think, Robin stuffed in the trunk.
Really?
I think, if I remember correctly, like he was being captured by who? I don't know. Batman? I don't know. But it was the 89 Batmobile. You had rocket launchers here, and you had the little lever here that you could pull up and shoot them across the room. Don't shoot them at people. But yeah.
I was a Superpowers kid. And even as an adult collector, I definitely preferred those over these. This was an early start to the toy boom in the 90s. Like what happened with, we previously talked about the Star Wars in the 90s, and they made a ton of these.
Yeah.
Far, far more than they did the Superpowers. And the aftermarket collecting right now, I know I saw a good looking Superpowers Robin was like $45 to $50 with his original cape.
Yeah.
A Superheroes from '89, brand new in a perfect package, was like $30.
Yeah.
Whereas that Superpowers Robin, brand new in a package, would have been a couple hundred. So there was definitely a huge flux in supply and demand
Yeah.
at the beginning of, well, maybe not so much the original release of the three characters, but when they started doing the others, we had hit that spot where make as many toys as you can because it's costing us a penny to make it.
Right. And the funny thing about this, I've got one in the package, and this wasn't one that I saved. It was one that I bought just a year or two ago, and like you said, it was probably like $30 or even 20 or less. And so these are easy to come by, and if you are needing one that's like brand new, they're out there. Hit on eBay. Check what they're selling for, of course. You don't want someone to think that their figure is worth more than what it really is, and you get cheated by paying too much on it. But one of the things that was fascinating with the advertisement here on the back, they used the Superpowers Batman, and they just painted it black. And they did a little bit of adjusting with the belt and to show the grappling feature. As a kid, I wanted, this oil rig. I wanted the flooring right here, and so I wanted all the set pieces to it. That's how I wanted to play, with my figures and
Right.
have a complete, world that you immerse yourself in. I've got the Toy Biz Batcave as well. I decided not to display it, but we can show a picture of it. And so you've got the Batcave. You've got two sides to it. You've got the back of the Batcave, which is kind of I would say, for me, it felt like Joker's hideout or lair. You use the back part of it. It was kind of like a cave wall, but it had like little traps and things like that. And you turn it around, and that's the actual Batcave. It had a platform with the computers that Batman used to fight crime and surveillance and all that. And you had like a trap featured door or whatnot, and you could hang the Joker by his arms, with a little cuff thing over that little pit. And I just loved it because you finally could buy the Batcave. And I think there were Batcaves before, but that was before my time. So, and they were hard to come by. So, at that time. But yeah, this is the Toy Biz line, pretty much, and yeah, it's memorable. At least, it wasn't quite always up to par with Kenner. Kenner always made the best figures, and so they did what they as best as they could, I guess, for the price point. One of the other things that I had to have everything Batman, and so I did not like Taco Bell as a kid. I just didn't like tacos. I had never tried one, and so, but Taco Bell did a promotional where they had the Batman cup, and they also had a Batman cardboard stand up in there that I wanted to, and finally got one of them at one of my birthdays, 8 years old or 9 years old, whatever, birthday or either Christmas, and so had to have the Batman cup, and so this is worn out a little bit, but you can see that it's got the black Batman on there, and not quite the same symbol that was in the movie, but this is more of probably like the comic book, but they just blacked it out. So you have one of his poses from a promotional poster. But yeah, some of the things that I collected over the years.
One thing nobody will ever be able to remember perfectly is all the Batman stuff that happened next.
The multiples of Batman.
If you could imagine a prefix that would describe a Batman, they made it. Arctic Batman. Even things that you would think were the same. There was Arctic Batman, there was Snow Batman, there was Snow Speeder Batman.
Yeah.
Deep Sea Diver Batman, but there was also Diver Batman. For the not so deep sea adventures.
Yeah.
The amount of Batman stuff that came out from 91 to 90, was it 5 or 6?
It was a long time. I mean, it was up until like 95 when Batman Forever.
Yeah.
It was Batman 95, right? Yeah, I think so. And then 97 was Batman and Robin. But even with those lines, they did the same thing. It was a different mold because you no longer had Michael Keaton, and you no longer had Tim Burton as the director, but Joel Schumacher. And so his take on the Batsuit, and they tried to match that loosely.
And as a toy designer, I mean, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 or 4 characters in a movie that's going to sell.
Yeah.
So let's come up with different ways to sell the same characters.
Yeah.
And every time a new one would hit, that's a different item they could ask mom for at the store. I don't ever remember seeing like the DC section when that line was out.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have multiples out at a time, or is it like now where you get like waves and there's just 2 or 3, and then you wait a little bit and there's 2 or 3 more?
What I remember is that they probably had them all at once or either like a month later. It wasn't as spaced out as it is today with, you say, McFarlane or one of the other toy companies with waves. But they were generally, trying to pump out these figures as fast as they could. And then you just waited, you watched TV back then with the commercials, and you would see the toy commercial, Arctic Batman, and Mama, I gotta get it, and so you go to the toy store and you buy a couple, and so yeah, and they just kept on producing them. So I rolling out, faster than what they do today. from what I remember. I mean, of course, we couldn't afford everything all at once.
Right.
So here we have Kenner bought the license back. And this is where we see Batmania begin with the toys. We have multiple different types of Batman. Some of these, the Dark Knight collection is what came out since Toy Biz, I guess, wasn't hitting the mark. And Kenner got the license back. And so they decided to go ahead and do toys for the first movie before the second movie came out for Batman. And so they had the Joker figures as well. They had different types of Joker figures, and just like Toy Biz, and unlike Toy Biz, they created just the two main figures, Batman and the Joker. There was no Bob the Goon, but what they did was several variations, like we had just discussed. You've got, is this the Arctic one? Or is this?
Unsure.
I'm unsure too.
There were too many to remember.
Yeah. It's just, you've got that might be Arctic.
I think
right
that is Arctic.
And so some of these capes, like I said, these come from the Cape
I'll look
Master.
it up while you do that.
Yeah. So they also came out with a Bruce Wayne figure. And so this guy right here, and there they go. And so he also came with the Batman costume that you could actually fit on him. And a lot of a lot of kids that had the toys back then probably lost a lot of the pieces. I've got the pieces, they're just somewhere else, safe and sound. But you can make him Bruce Wayne and you can make him Batman. And one of the interesting facts about with the Bruce Wayne figure, they made the Batcave playset that was Wayne Manor playset. So you had, and I've got a couple of these too, because as the movie lines progressed, the TV show, the animated series, the other movies, they took this same mold and made it over and over again. They just painted it a different color, different shades, to reflect, like for the Batman Forever movie, that Batcave that had a lot of green because of the Riddler. Then you had, like, for Batman and Robin, Mr. Freeze. You had a lot of white, pastel blue colors, I think, on that thing. I could be totally wrong, but you had like a theming color to go along with those movies. And so this playset was even better than Toy Biz, because you not only got the Batcave, but you got Wayne Manor, and you had like doors that you could walk the Bruce Wayne figure in, or the bad guys in to barge in, and then you could have Batman crashing through the second story windows that gave way, and then you had the a whole section that could flip back and forth for the Batmobile to come out from the other side where the Batcave was. And you had a little door piece that you flung open. It had the clock, based on the comic book way of, I guess, getting through the Batcave is opening up the clock and walking down the stairs. And so you had it all. You could make believe all you wanted, with all your action figures and everything. And so you had the Batcave, with the computer station, and you had you could take your Bruce Wayne figure, you could put it in the bat suit vault, and you had a little turn thing up here that you could turn it around. You close the door, turn it around. You already have the Batman figure already dressed on the other side, and it would turn around, and then you open the door and he was ready to go, at a moment's notice. And so that was really cool too. One of those little quick little tricks. But then you just had all kinds of different Batman figures here. The one that I really appreciated the most was this darker blue and gray Batman, because it was very similar to the Kenner's superpowers with the original blue and gray. And so they didn't make the superpowers anymore at that point. So this was the closest that you got for a replacement if yours wore out like mine did. Because I played with those things to death. But then Joker, he's kind of, a copycat, except for a different face of the original Superpowers Joker, except for this coattails, they were glued on, I think.
Right.
So you didn't lose your coattails anymore on the Joker. And the Joker's face actually looked like Jack Nicholson's face. I wonder if Jack is getting paid for me even talking about him, since he had that deal with the movie. But here you had another Joker here. I think this was the Joker that you'd stick in warm water or cool water, and his face would turn normal flesh color, where he could, I guess, be a normal citizen when he wanted to, or a devious normal citizen. I liked this one. Just the colors were different on this guy, this Joker. They just did a whole lot of stuff with this. The one thing, and of course, you had the Dark Knight collection, and then you had the Batman Returns collection. And so some of these are probably Batman Returns and the Dark Knight mixed in together. Between the first and second movie, I know that the suits were different. The one thing I did appreciate about the Toy Biz Batman was that the armor part, I think they got pretty darn close to accurate for the movie suit. Now, of course, the Dark Knight collection, it was very, if not the same as the Superpowers Batman chest piece, except for they added the mask, the mask
and that is
part.
the Arctic Batman. You were right the first time. Yeah.
Okay. And so with the Batman Returns, the chest piece was a little bit different. It was more Art Deco than muscles there. And so with these figures, they only had like the Superpowers mold, pretty much. I really, really wanted that Art Deco on one of those figures, just to represent that this is truly the Batman Returns figure. But that never happened really until later, when McFarlane picks up the weight, I guess, after Kenner is gone. But yeah, this is, I think, this is the first time we get a Catwoman figure, isn't it?
Yep.
So we have Catwoman here with a rubbery whip as well. I bet the parents just love that.
She actually, I believe she came out around the same time as the purple suited Catwoman from the Dark Knight collection.
Yeah.
Which that was nobody's Catwoman unless you were a huge comic book reader. This was everybody's Catwoman.
Right. And I think Superpowers, if they had continued, that version of the Catwoman was going to be one of the superpowers
Yeah, the
figures.
purple one would have
It
been.
was unproduced, either idea or in the infancy stages of making that figure. But then, poor Penguin, he just doesn't get an update. Just a color update from the superpowers line. And so, I mean, the coattails are somewhere. It's probably on the table below, but I've got it somewhere. But yeah, they just, okay, this is a darker Batman, so we'll paint him black instead of the blue, purple colors. And this is nowhere near what he looks like in Batman Returns.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were afraid to make the toy look like Danny DeVito's depiction of the Penguin,
It
or
would have looked like a little goblin.
yeah, or they were just being cheap.
I've seen the 18-inch Danny DeVito Penguin made by NECA.
Yeah,
It's highly detailed.
yeah.
And there's a version of him in his onesie pajamas. And it looks like he fell right out of the movie. It's perfect. But it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, you don't feel like you're buying Penguin. You feel like you're buying Danny DeVito in his pajamas.
I think I've seen that same one. Yeah. And so, even as a kid, I think that version of the Penguin was like, what is going on? It was new, and you grew to love that version of the Penguin. But looking back at it, it's like, what were they thinking? And they weren't thinking. Tim Burton did not read the comics, and he was just being Tim Burton, along with a couple other guys, that were drawing these things and shooting ideas at them. This would be a good idea. The production company wants us to do Catwoman and Penguin, so
Taking a bite out of the fish.
taking the bite out of the nose.
That too.
That was one that Mom hates the Penguin from Batman Returns. She absolutely hates it. I remember that. And she didn't want to watch it, and she didn't want to watch it again on repeat like I wanted to watch for 50,000 times. I did not like that nose scene either. So I had also, kind of flinched and just, I think on viewing it, even today, I'm kind of like a little flinchy with that.
It was kind of on the nose for a Batman scene.
Yeah.
Or off the nose.
Off the nose, yeah. Yeah. So we got the Penguin and we got the first ever Catwoman figure. Pretty much.
I like that they gave her such a good whip.
Yeah.
There's not been a Catwoman that's come after her that I've liked. I did not mind Selena Kyle in Gotham
Yeah.
as far as something on screen. But I like watching the behind the scene take of her whipping the heads off the mannequins.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know until I knew that she actually did that all in one take and did it perfectly. And no one was expecting her to ever hit one. They were going to edit it in post.
Yeah.
And she went through and whipped the head off of every mannequin one after another.
Yeah.
And as soon as they called cut, the entire production crew just went wild, clapping, congratulating her. She nailed it.
Yeah. That was one thing too, was they had a behind the scenes special that they put on TV right before the movie came out. I recorded that thing on VHS tape. I watched that program 1,000 times, and it had that scene where, they showed that one take, of her hitting all those mannequins. And that's amazing. I mean, because, it takes time and practice, and she got it. and she's in that cat suit that like she's suffocating basically. They had to rip that thing off of her, and that was not probably a fast thing for them to do. And so even with this figure, they have the stitch marks. I wish they could have highlighted it with white paint, but maybe it just didn't look good.
Right.
Because I mean, these figures are small, and it's hard to get like very detailed with them. But yeah, another thing is the McDonald's merchandising. And I saved this. I wanted to keep it, and so you've got the Fry Box, the Batman Returns merchandise, and you have multiple cups. I don't have all of them, but you've got the Batman one. You've got the Penguin one with the duck. You've got another Penguin where he's giving his speeches with the commando army of penguins behind him. Same one. But yeah. There's one, I think, with Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle somewhere when they're doing the dancing scene at Shrek's ball, costume ball. But yeah. But then McDonald's had their toys, their Happy Meal toys. There's 3 of 4 that they had. I think there's a Batmobile one that I don't have up here. But yeah, McDonald's was expecting a kid-friendly movie until the reviews came out, until they, I guess, saw it themselves, and they pulled these toys. They pulled the merchandising and everything from McDonald's, and so they were mad. We can't sell these. You know, you've got a grotesque penguin creature with green goo coming out of his mouth for no reason. Apparently, it wasn't for any. It was for no reason, I think.
Imagine the commercial opportunities, though, of Danny DeVito's penguin biting Ronald McDonald's nose. They really dropped the ball and missed a hit.
They did. Penguin could have had become the new mascot. Have you had your bite today? This is one of the miniature. This is like die-cast metal, and so this is the Duckmobile. One of the things that I wanted to talk about with the Duckmobile was that I wish they had made a toy of the duck. That would have been fun to have.
Like a size that your figure could go in, yeah.
Like the Kenner figure. They made the Bat Ski Boat. They made the Batmobile. They made, instead of, I should have brought all this, but I've got so much stuff that I just have to show a picture. But, of course, this is the Toy Biz one. They improved on it greatly. It was no longer what's the word? Convertible. But you had, the roof and you could move it and put, it was only a single rider though.
Is that the one that the roof slid, or did it pry?
I want to say it pried open, and they had that one for the Dark Knight collection, and then for Batman Returns, because they had changed the Batmobile where you could pop off the sides to make the Bat missile that they used in the movie. The funny thing about that toy was when that came out, I had to have it, of course, and so went to Toys R Us, bought it. The 2 sides would not stay on. It would just automatically just pop off. And there was a defect with it. So we went back to Toys R Us thinking, it's just had a dud. So got a new one. The same thing happened with that. So we went back. We explained to the manager what was going on, or the employer, and he's like, "Okay, well, I'll tell you what you do. Go ahead and open up a new one, see if it has that problem." And I think I went through. I don't remember how. I think I went through a couple of them, just opening the box at the toy store until I found one that fit. And they're like, "Okay, there you go." And so they sent the other ones off, I guess, back to Kenner. But I don't know. I would like to know if anybody else had that problem. So leave a comment in the comment section. I would love to know if you had one of those defective Bat Missile Batmobiles back in '92. But yeah, we have a different Batman figure here, kind of a bluer one.
You could play with a different Batman every day in the 90s.
Yeah, you could be whatever Batman you wanted it to be. I used to know all these Batman names. I did like this version. You could put his arms down, and then it was like the superpowers line. You squeeze the leg, and he does his infamous.
Which is actually a scene from the first movie, isn't it?
Yeah. First one and the second one. The thing, it's a funny thing with the second one, is that not only did he raise his cape up, but it was like this mechanical bat wings that popped out as well. He faced the camera, then he turned around and he flew off the building. And it scared the bejesus out of everybody because at that moment in the film, the Ice Princess had fallen to her death. Mm-hmm. All these bats are flying around, and they made it look like Batman had pushed the Ice Princess. And so now this Batman with these mechanical wings are flying over Gotham, and they didn't know what was going to happen next. Very dramatic movie in places. But I loved Batman Returns probably better than the first one.
Yeah.
Now, looking back on it and watching it, I like the first one probably better because it had a lot of things to it.
I like that there was more diverse characters in the second one.
Yeah.
It wasn't just I don't really think any Batman movie should be just Batman versus so-and-so. The cartoons moved so fast, the comics were moving so fast. You rarely had an episode or even a single issue book where it was just one villain.
Yeah.
So I think that the second one kind of nailed it home for me, just for having, you had Penguin and Catwoman, and you had all these different aspects that were going on. So
yeah,
I would go with the second one for that reason.
Yeah. Second one is definitely a great one, and the thing about the second one is because the first movie had done so well, they were more apt to give the full reins over to Tim Burton, which of course I guess Tim Burton shot himself in the foot.
Yeah,
because too grotesque.
Generally speaking, you should be guaranteed the same amount of money from the first one, because if you excited that many people, they're going to want to see the next one.
Right.
But if they don't all rush and they hear bad reviews or whatever, that's when you have the issues of the sequel flop.
Yeah. And of course, they tried so hard to put Robin in those films. And I don't remember all the stories about, who wanted Robin. I guess it was the movie company, because Robin sells. But I don't believe Tim Burton wanted him in it. And it would have been odd, probably, to have Robin in it. And so they had produced a figure for, I think it was probably for both lines, maybe, but especially the Batman Returns line. And so he had the, I think it was the Tim Drake
Mm-hmm.
style costume that was in the comics. And so you had he wasn't in little panties, anymore, and hose stockings, but he had long johns on, as well as a stylized R for his logo, Robin, and he looked a lot cooler. And this figure was actually, well, they had actually hired who was it for Robin?
Marlon Wayans.
That's right. And so this figure is in his likeness, actually. And so you see, though, that they made him Caucasian, but of course, the hair style and everything is Marlon's hairstyle, I suppose. And he actually got paid for the movie, even though he's not in it. They wrote storyboards for him to appear in it, but they scrapped it at
That's the
last
kind of
minute.
acting I want to do.
Too bad he didn't have a deal like Jack Nicholson. Every time that the movie's shown or a toy is sold, he gets paid. But yeah, Michael Keaton should have had the same deal too. Jack was genius, of doing that. But anyhow, they released this for the Batman Returns line, and so everybody wants a Robin figure because Batman and Robin. So yeah, there you go.
I wish Robin would have came out in one of the earlier movies, because going into these theatrical productions with the prior knowledge that any nerd would have, origin stories are just such a drag.
Yeah.
And then, the first movie that he was in, you had his origin story, and you had Poison Ivy's and Two Faces, and it's just like the movie was sluggish to me just because of everybody's origin story, because there was probably 4 or 5 characters that got introduced in that one movie.
Right.
And had he been in the first movie or even the second one, I think there would have been a lot more room, and we would have had an established Robin.
Yeah. And I think what they wanted to do was they wanted to take the Batmobile into the story of Robin unfolding, take it into a car shop that Robin was working at. And so, or Dick Grayson or whoever, Tim, whoever they wanted to do for Robin's character. And so they were going to introduce him that way. I don't know if he was fully going to become Robin, but I guess by the end of the movie, you would all be set up for the third one. But yeah, I mean, it's a kind of coulda, woulda been scenario. And I think we get to see a little bit of how Michael Keaton's Batman deals with a kid in the Flash movie with the Flash, with Barry. And so I think that, to me, whenever I watched the Flash movie, I was like, this is how he would have interacted with Robin. More like a fatherly, figure, or, grump at first, what's this kid doing, here in my house and everything, to, well, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts, type of thing, including him and helping him out. But yeah, this is the Dark Knight collection and the Batman Returns collection from the 90s. And as you can see, I collected all kinds. You have this character here, camouflage, whatever you want to call it, whatever you dreamed it, they made it.
Yep.
So yeah, and then we've got this guy. We've got the 12-inch
Yeah.
Batman from Batman Returns, and this was what I was talking about with the Art Deco. They made it look just like the movie, just about. And I appreciated that. I wish the cape was a little bit thicker and a little bit longer so you could actually do that pose with
Yeah,
it.
they went more with like a lingerie style. I'm looking right through it.
They went with the Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne scene. So, not too far behind Batman Returns was Batman the Animated Series. And I have a lot of those figures. I just wanted to showcase just these three, really, because, I mean, we could be here forever. You know, we can do a whole episode on Batman the Animated Series. The one thing I really, really liked about the figures of the animated series was that it looked like the animated series counterparts, that they had new molds, and it wasn't from like the Superpowers line. It wasn't from the Batman Dark Knight Collection line or Batman Returns line. All except for one that I've seen so far, which is on this table too. But with, Batman, the one gripe I had about it was that the one gripe that I had about Batman here was they did not give him a dual color cape like you saw on the series. He only had like a regular black Batman cape that every other Batman had. However, when they made the Robin figure, they stitched the yellow part of his cape in there. So I never really understood why they didn't do that with the Batman one. Now, it wasn't until...
Is that a custom cape right there?
No, this is the original. This one is the original cape here, but the Batman one is a custom cape that the Cape Master, he's getting a lot of sponsor time here. He's not a sponsor, but I'll give it to him because he does quality work. I mean, this is stitched probably better than the Robin one. But of course, I'm looking at Robin with 25, 30 years of wear and tear on it too. But yeah, the funny thing about Robin is he has the same body. And I didn't notice this until just a few years ago. I learned this. He has the same body as the Robin that they released with the Batman Returns line. They just painted it a little brighter, the brighter colors from the animated series, and they resculpted a new head to place on it. So I can let that slide because he did have the Tim Drake suit in the series. And then we have Penguin. Now they made a new sculpt for Penguin, which resembles the character in the Batman animated series, resembled Danny DeVito's character that they produced with the 3 flipper fingers, the 1 flipper with the 2 finger, thumb and finger, and the shorter Danny DeVito-like Penguin, which I liked so much, and I was confused again. Why would they do this, but yet give us a Superpowers repaint of the Penguin for the Batman Returns? Now, of course, I think we've all answered that. They may have probably not wanted a grotesque image of the Penguin for the toy line. Or it may have been just that they were cheap.
And with all the issues of a lot of early toys, you had the was it the Battlestar Galactica Cylon that the missile got shot down a kid's throat, so they didn't do the rocket firing Boba Fett, and lawn darts got illegalized and banned. Danny DeVito's nose would have been a sharp object on a toy. Well, the penguin version.
Yeah.
So they couldn't have made him just like the movie.
Right. Pajama penguin.
That would have been a.
Pajama penguin.
They would have had to put a pointy object label on the packaging.
But we're going to fast forward a little bit into the future or into today with what McFarlane is doing with the Batman animated series line. So here we have Hardak, which is a robot version of Batman, Bruce Wayne, who I think, if I remember the episode correctly, he believed that he was Bruce Wayne, and as you're watching the show, you're believing it's Bruce Wayne until you see that he is damaged or whatnot, and you see the robotic body, and you're like, what's going on? I don't remember the episode that well, but it was definitely an interesting one. And so McFarlane, they've released 4 figures. They've released more than that, but four figures at a time in a wave. And the gimmick with this is that you can build a 5th figure with each figure comes with a part of another figure that you can build. I don't know if I've made that more complicated than what it needed to be to explain, but you have Bane in that line. These figures are very hard to get to stay up most of the time.
They actually had small feet in the show.
They did, yeah. And so, they're trying to make it as accurate as possible. I do appreciate that they made a Phantasm, because I did love the Mask of the Phantasm movie.
I'll do her. This is my childhood crush. She's got some really bad feet, though.
Yeah. But she's got a fantastic body.
She was definitely my top 5. With Jessica Rabbit, the girl from Cool World,
Yeah.
Lola Bunny. Can't think of a 5th.
But they did animate these figures very, very well and very atomically correct. So with these 4 figures, you could finally make a Bruce Wayne that didn't have a sweater on with a little bat design that revealed that he was Batman.
The 90s turtleneck
Yeah.
Batman.
But of course, they tried to do that turtleneck because Michael Keaton had a turtleneck in the Batcave when Alfred, Vic, Miss Vale, here's Bruce Wayne, he's Batman. But yeah, you get the Batman in the business suit and the suitcase. He was such a dumb Bruce Wayne in the show, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He played it off like that Bruce Wayne was just nuts, I guess. Pardon the pun. But yeah, that's the animated series, and there's a lot more. We'll cover it probably in the next few, I don't know, sometime. So a little bit later in the 90s, this is specifically when Superman in the comic books died, that they made the Man of Steel toy line. And this was Kenner, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So we have, at least I've got 4 of the figures here. We've got the Man of Steel, which was John Henry in the iron suit. We have what I'll call Resurrection Superman in the black suit after he came back to life. And then we have the Superboy clone that was, from what I remember from the comics, part of his DNA. was of the original Superman was cloned, and they made this one. More than that, I can't tell you. I don't remember.
Was that the version where it was half Superman, half Lex?
It could have been. There was some nefarious purpose for this Superboy, I think, from what I remember. Then we have another. Oh, actually, I picked this up by mistake. This is actually way later. This is the actual resurrection from that line. That was from another line that we'll get to. So when Superman died in the comic book, they released 4 Supermen, that the reign of the Supermen, that was there to create drama for the comic book readers. You know, which one is the real Superman, which one was fake, or who's the real one, basically. So they had John Henry, they had the Superboy one, they had the Eradicator one, and they had the Cyborg Superman. Out of all of them, I loved the Cyborg Superman a whole lot. I did like the design of Superboy because this screams out 90s.
Mm-hmm.
With the jacket, with the he also had an earring as well.
The wedding garter.
Yeah. So I really like this Superboy figure, and in the comic, that was the only time that I really kept up with the comics, was when Superman died, and also when Bane broke Batman's back. I never was a real comic book person. I'd watched the TV shows, the movies, whatever. And still, I think to this day, I'm like that. But I do appreciate the comics a whole lot, because that's where we get everything else from. Mm-hmm. So, fast forwarding to today, this is one of the most recent McFarlane figures. And you've got the Superboy here.
You can tell it's more 2025 because the garter's higher up.
He doesn't have the leather jacket either. I just noticed that. But on the card that comes with it, he does. But the other thing, they show, with this figure, they show him with a full head of hair, which is not comic book accurate. But of course, McFarlane, they do this. McFarlane does some weird stuff sometimes.
Yeah, I call them sometimes panel figures, where it's like McFarlane, which we're about to get into McFarlane. I don't want to talk about it too much, but like a character had a style in one panel on one page in one book, and they're just like, let's make 500,000 of those figures. It's like, you didn't need to do that.
But here's one of the things, yes, it's a comic page accurate look, but he had the bowl cut type of, that was really popular. If you don't know what the bowl cut is, look it up. But after you watch this video. And so you've got, these lines here to show that his head was shaven up high, like an inch above his ear, But, in translation to a figure, it may not look the best. It's the best.
It's a really weird hairstyle to show in plastic.
But, I guess it's the closest that you can get to it.
Looks more like he's wearing like a fishnet headband around the back of his head.
Yeah. Now I'm going to have to see if the Cape Master will make me a leather jacket.
Use your frequent flyer miles.
I know. I should have them every time that I use them. But yeah, these are the Man of Steel. So now what we've got here is a combination of Mattel and McFarlane. And so back in 2015, I think, somewhere near there, they released the classic Batman, is what they call it, which was also, even though I thought they were coinciding with the Batman show from the 60s, which they are, they also released a Batman 66 comic, classic Batman. So they released the Adam West, Burt Ward, and Yvonne Craig figures, as well as the a line of the villains as well, and the Batmobile. Now, I grew up on this show. I wasn't alive for the premiere of it, but for reruns and all that in the 80s, I just absolutely loved and fell in love with all this. This is where I found my love for Batman and pretended to be Batman and still do today, I guess. So, but having accurate figures and not using the superpowers, Kenner superpowers, Batman and Robin, as fill-ins for the Adam West and Burt Ward characters. Finally, you get like show accurate versions here, and they're much taller, more detailed. And so, what's not to love about it? I mean, it's a whole lot of nostalgia. And of course, you see the Batmobile in the background here. And this is probably the McFarlane version, I think. Let's see. Well, I don't know. Just says DC Comics. So I don't remember exactly which version this is, but it's the 66 Batmobile nonetheless. And you've got here the McFarlane figures that have recently, within the last few years, come out, along with the Villains Rogue gallery, with lots more villains than what Mattel had ever come out with. You have Egghead, you have Mr. Freeze, you have the different versions of Catwoman. You have the Eartha Kitt Catwoman. You have the Julie Newmar Catwoman. They haven't made the Lee Merriweather one, and they probably won't ever, since their license agreement is about to end this year, at the end of the year. But they had a good run, and they also made a Bat Cave diorama and a Wayne Manor diorama, and the Villains Lair diorama that you find in Batman the movie from the 66 series. So this is gold to me, and I love it. And it's very detailed, and I've got the Bat Cycle, I have the Bat Boat. I wish they would have made the Batcopter, or helicopter, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, they even did repaints to make Super Friends versions, which are slightly different colors, and they use the same molds, a different head for Batman and Robin, I think. But yeah, finally, you get the classic Batman figures.
I really like the longer cape.
Yeah.
Just looking at this from the back, it's like, I can do without the short cape.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like the cloth cape than the ribbon cape. I wish you could trade it off for the smoother body, because this has the joints that you can see from Mattel, and the McFarlane has hidden those very well. And it's almost as if, and I don't think he doesn't bend like the Mattel one, but why would you really need to bend? He doesn't bend that far anyhow. So I guess it was just a creative decision that, hey, you can just bend them just slightly and make a new pose out of it.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, they eliminated that when they redesigned those for McFarlane. And so McFarlane just needs to get rid of those ribbon capes.
It's almost as bad as the Star Wars vinyl capes.
Yeah. They tear so easily too, and when you bend it, it's done for.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the Batman 66 series. Fast forward to pretty much today. And McFarlane, who is pretty much been leader for DC Toys so far, has repackaged, remade the Superpowers line.
Without any superpowers.
Exactly. No gimmicks, no superpowers, just the name Superpowers to sell this line.
And the coloring on the package. It looks
Yeah.
The package looks more like the old figures than the figures do.
And I bought it Sink Line Hooker. Is that how you say it?
No.
No?
Hook, line, and sinker?
Hook, line, and sinker. There we go. I'll leave that in. You all know what I mean. But anyhow. So yeah, you've got the classic Superpowers logo, and instead of Kenner here, you have McFarlane Toys. And this is the first Batman that they released. And so new for 2022. And they've got a new drawing of Batman. I loved Superpowers so much that I guess I didn't care if it had a gimmick or not. It was the Superpowers name.
Yeah.
And they were making these figures in that likeness. However, you can't mix these with the original Superpowers because they're taller just by that much. And so you can't happily, like, some figures maybe, like Lobo, here, because he's supposed to be big and tall and fat and muscular and all that. But,
Then they introduced characters that was never released in Superpowers. Lobo being one of them. The Bat Who Laughs.
yeah.
The Resurrected Superman.
The one that I didn't think that they would come out with was this one, which is reminiscent of the original Superpowers Batman. A little bit more accurate, I would say, because they added the black part of his cape, of his mask, to his mask. And so I just fell in love with this version. I was okay with this version until this one came out, and I was like, yeah, I've got to have it. And of course, they brought out this version of Robin, which was very close to the original Superpowers Robin. And of course, they created the Tim Drake Robin here, which I love too. I've come to love that costume as well. And they have a couple other Robins too. I think they fall short on releasing so many Batman and Superman on this line. I mean, you've got all kinds of heroes as well, but you have very, very few, if any, villains. Why not a Joker figure, a full-fledged Joker figure, and prove upon it, or just have a new one, Penguin. They did come out with Riddler, and it's just generic. All these are just generic. But yeah, I mean, I've got nearly all of them. There's a few that I've either the scalpers have gotten a hold of them. But yeah, So, what is? I know you've got a pet peeve about it because of the superpowers. Anything?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, you don't like this line at all.
Superpowers is my favorite toy line of all time. So, I mean, whenever I first heard that it was going to be happening, I was really excited.
Yeah.
And I've been let down several times by pre-announced McFarlane releases, and I'm not doubting the company. There's
Right.
so much. I own a lot of McFarlane. It's just every time I hear something get announced that really, really gets me, that's the one thing that I end up not liking.
Yeah.
And it was really the main thing was because these were cheap enough, you open them.
Yeah.
And when you open them, there's no superpowers.
Right.
And it's like, well, that was the kick I was going for.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think because people are so crazy about the superpowers line that they scalp these so much at Walmart. Now they're selling them at Target and online, and then they turn it around and sell it for much more than what they really are worth. And a lot of product is like that. But it's down. I would say it downright criminal to do all that crap because these figures shouldn't be worth that much, especially right now.
Right.
So, but it is what it is, and if you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay. I mean, there's much more products on the way, and they're gonna cash in on nostalgia as well as kids likes today.
Yeah, I heard McFarlane's about to get out of DC.
Yeah. And so that's going to create a huge hole, but I think I don't remember who has the license now or will have the license. I don't remember that, but yeah, these are two figures that I wanted that looked nice. These are like first appearance in the comic book. How they looked, and so you've got Batman with the purple gloves, the elongated bat mask with the pointy ears that point out instead of up, and then you've got the dual color cape here, which they've stitched, and it looks more kind of like a bat wing, and then you've got Robin in the classic pajamas. So yeah, that's the superpowers, and that's the first appearance, and we're pretty much caught up.
Yeah,
with DC, and I mean, they've come a long way from one Superman doll to superpowers and the DC multiverse toys, which they've got a ton of. You got 3 of the Green Arrows.
Yeah.
As well.
They there's so many of the black and blue package multiverse. It's you couldn't even talk about it all.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is like I called earlier the what I call a panel figure.
Yeah.
It should a lot of them honestly they weren't just one panel, but it was, it's variations of characters that was very short lived, and it's like, nobody was collecting that.
Yeah.
you could have made something else.
Yeah. But yeah, this line, pretty much the superpowers line started with the toys. For me, He-Man, then superpowers and Turtles, and then back to Batman and then Power Rangers, and then collecting toys, today as an adult. And so it's a fun hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'll ever quit it. But yeah, this is our 4th episode, and we have enjoyed it. We hope that you enjoy it, and please leave a like, subscribe. We need some subscribers too, and leave a comment too. And we'd love to hear back from you. So we'll see you next time on That Toy Dude.
Bye.
See ya.